We are live. Hi guys, welcome in. In today's video, I'm going to go over the 7+ SBA EIDL grant alternatives for 2022 and beyond. You don't want to miss this. These are going to be great ones to look at to help you finally continue to build, grow, expand, and even get out of a tight pinch. Moving forward more easily, being able to obtain the capital, the type of funding you need to whatever it is you need to use for. But before I get started, if you're here on the live, give me a hashtag live in the comments and a hashtag replay if you're here later on watching after the live. Now I'm going to jump right into this. Listen, if you try to apply for any type of SBA EIDL funding, the targeted advance, the EIDL grant, and either you missed your opportunity or you tried to get in, but you got declined, disapproved, a lot of things happened. I've seen it all. I still get comments to this day. What should I do with like the reconsideration phases? If you're still concerned about what I should do, then look down below in the description if you're watching this on YouTube later on, where I'll have SBA EIDL information, keeping you up to date, a reconsideration letter template that you can use, and that's been very helpful to many others as well. So one way, let's get right into this, you can get through is a federal grant. So if your business operates in the research and development field, then a federal grant may be the avenue for you to take on. Now, if it isn't, just hold on. We're going to get even better and better as this list goes down. So the Small Business Innovation Research Program, or short for SBIR, is one of those grant programs that the federal government uses to provide funding for small businesses with the purpose of creating a product that's used for commercialization. Sometimes I get that word twisted, and it's been a bit of a long day. So grants are offered through one of the participating agencies, such as the Department of Commerce, Defense, Education, etc. So if you've already found out about this, great. Hang in there with me. Again, it'll get even sweeter and much better. Similarly, the Small Business Technology Transfer Program, STTR, which is different than the one we just mentioned for SBIR, offers grants to small businesses, but focuses on pairing businesses with research institutes that have a scientific or educational purpose behind you. So if you're within that background or thinking of getting in that, this is down your avenue. So again, it's through this whole research and more technology-focused way. But it's a great way to get into it if you're currently within these aspects. So you can also search through available grants, as you know, on grants.gov for all the available grants at the federal level. So make sure you're doing your due diligence. Look, if you are asking so much, if you're just trying to do so much research online, or you see another YouTube video with the next 100K grant, the next 10K grant, and it's like, well, this isn't opened, so what's going on? It's because they only last for so long, and by the time you're on to the next one, it's like another high you get. You watch a video, you don't apply, or you watch a video, you apply, you don't get approved. And if you get approved and you use that funding, you're like, I'm going to go to my next one, and I'm going to try to find another one. So make sure, like I've said before in other videos, look through your city, state, county, and make sure you know what you're well aware of in your area. So again, you're not being like, hey, you're always asking somebody else to get you that information. Make sure you're looking for it. So now let's move down to the next one. We have state grants. So government grants, what are they? Highly sought out after and are very competitive, if you already know. And I've said this before, they very much so are. A lot of them can offer you, they tell you can get a grant, but you have to apply, and we only select a few amounts, and the second runner-up gets 5K, and we're only releasing it to 100 people or 3 people. So it becomes very competitive. So by the time you go and apply, and I get this all the time, I should have applied for this. I should have applied for the SBA EIDL, but I didn't. I took too much time, and I would have gone approved. And like I tell many people, woulda, coulda, shoulda, we got to take that out of the equation when we're thinking logically and we're crunching down numbers. I've spoken to people time and time again. This is on a quick tangent. They say, well, I didn't do revenue this month, or I did some revenue, less than what I did last month, but I'm projecting, next month, if I had this amount of funding, I'd be doing 100K. I like that. I write it down and I admire it. But at the end of the day, the underwriters, our lenders, and everyone else, I have to look at the numbers and say, well, what's going on with bank statements? What's going on with taxes? Why is it this way? Why isn't it that way? I mean, at the end of the day, we have to know that you're going to be able to pay back the lenders or the lender. That's what it comes down to make those payments. So it may behoove you to check out the resources available at the state level. And a great place to begin with is the Small Business Development Center, SBDC for short. These are local offices that sometimes are located in a college or the university. That's why, in other words, they're kind of hidden, quote unquote, on that provide training and utilize individualized advising to businesses in their area. They can help you with business planning, financial management, marketing, and accessing capital. If there are local grants and financing opportunities, your SBDC would be the first place to check. So, like I said, again, make sure to go to the SBDC, that's Small Business Development Center, and I'll try to have these links down below in the description. I may view them in a different tab in a moment, just so I can show you. I can open up one and go through them. But if not, make sure to look for all that information down below. And it's kind of like when you go to an advisor and you get this like consultation, you sit down with them and you go through to see what kind of classes you want. You come up with the business plan. And you're like, well, and this is what happened to me a lot of the time when I was in high school and in college. You know, I went to an advisor. They said, this would be the best route to take to get the 4.0 credits there. For this class, we need you to take at least another one of this. And here's going to be the way you go through to get to the end. So make sure to do that. If you are interested in exporting your products overseas, the State Trade Expansion Program, STEP, very easy to remember, offers financial assistance to help small businesses navigate these exporting processes. And then STEP helps businesses learn how to export, participate in foreign trade, design international marketing campaigns, and more. So you can contact your state's STEP office to find out more information and learn about your state's process. So the thing I like about this one is it's more of a, it's kind of like when you're starting a business and you're trying to devise a plan that you can like send a letter and show people your business plan, what you plan to do with your funds, what you're going to look like, what you plan to do, etc. moving forward. This is what I like about this, aside from the ground level at a state level here as we're looking at, you get more of that aid. So another great alternative, and this is one that I've already referred a lot of people to that made it on my list, it is the SKIP Grant Program. So since March of 2020, they have been posting videos on their YouTube channel, like just about every day, if you haven't been noticing, and helping people with the Paycheck Protection Program, PPP, Economic Injury Disaster Loan, the SBA EIDL, as well as other SBA programs. And then they go through grant opportunities as well and have been donating a large revenue of what they make back to business owners from their channel. And so every month they select winners to receive either a 1K cash grant or 1K in SKIP services. So the SKIP Grant Program, it's open to all business owners and entrepreneurs. And if you'd like to learn more, I made a video of that down below, and I'll leave more information, how to sign up and how to get through extra entries and, you know, all these different types of business grant programs as well. I'll leave a list of them. Make sure to refer to that down below. So business loans and lines of credits. This comes to one of my favorite portions of this segment. Listen, what you've heard just before this, I think, and so many people get stuck and fixated on, I need a grant. I need it to be done this way. I need, you know, the specification needs to look like this. I need to make sure I can actually hold it and so forth. And so we get so away from what you can actually, one, qualify for, and then two, what other options are available to you. And you can't always look at things like, this is going to be too expensive for me to take. And there are times where it doesn't make sense to take out a business loan because the repayment is down, it's up here, and the benefit is down here. You need it to be the other way around. It needs to be a tipping scale that the benefit exceeds the repayment. If it doesn't, it'll never make sense to you. And you should never, I wouldn't say never, but when you take a business loan, it's usually to keep you more stabilized and or in growth and expansion. If we're trying to help you survive, if we're like, I really need this money for emergency funds, I just can't, I had a month where I did like 150K and then another month that just went down to 5K, and you're like, I need to survive and thrive type of mindset, and what you're going to get in funding won't be what you want. You're like, I did a 50K month, so I think I should get like 60K. Well, no, but you had a 5 month within the last 3, 4, even 6 months plus, and just you have revenue dips that don't even make sense, plus your credit score is not even aligned. So we're going to have to give you what you deserve as of what we're seeing. In the future, if that changes, great. And if you're giving me projections again, I can look at that and admire it. But at the same time, it's a numbers thing. So you can't do that. And so business loans and lines of credit are great ways to take a look at this. So term loans is one it's very highly popular with most people. These are designed to address businesses' long-term needs and can be used for expansions, facility upgrades, and other business expenses, some type of working capital, to get new equipment, for debt consolidation, all different types of debt purposes, some type of real estate. A term loan is received in one lump sum. So if you got a big amount and you had a big use for it, then it would make sense. But if you didn't need a huge amount to make an investment into like a smaller equipment, like I've spoken with so many people who are like, I want these term loans. And I ask how much, I go through the credentials and I'll ask, well, what's your time in business? How much revenue are you generating? What's your personal or your credit score at? With a few other details in there. And, I get this and this. And then it's like, for one, you don't qualify. And two, if you did qualify, it didn't even make any sense. If you're asking for equipment that's going to cost you around $20K, but you wanted this monthly term, you're going to be overpaying in terms of interest and different types of fees, origination costs. Like I said, again, just the higher interest, the APRs and all this stuff that you don't want to mess with. So a term loan is a great example to get into. It's received in a lump sum. You may be asked to provide a form of collateral and make regular recurring payments on principal and interest, just like a home mortgage would expect you to do. Funding Circle and Fora Financial are online lenders and great partners that offer a variety of loans, as well as ones like Go Capital is a great solution for a business. Term loans, there are other ones out there like Credibly. There are plenty of these programs. So now let me actually show you one of these. That's a great solution. Let me open it up in a tab over here, and then I'll get on the share screen. But also let me know in the comment section what you need help with. What are your expectations? What are you looking to get? And look in the description to fill out a quick submission form with your details that won't affect your credit score. It'll be confidential between you and I, and I'll communicate the process with you and what you can get approved for. What are your options, if any? And if there are multiple ones, if just one. And I'm going to give you a lot of information just to make sure you are not being misled. But let me quickly stop share on one of these here. And let me open up this share screen. What you're viewing right now is a company called Go Capital. Amongst a company like Funding Circle and like Fora Financial, two of the names that I mentioned, and I made video content on that. So make sure to view it down below in the description if you want to learn more about them. But one of the great ones out here is Go Capital. You can get an unsecured business term loan with 2 to 10 years with monthly payments. And it just takes about 3 months in business as long as you're doing 20K plus per month. And there are revenue restrictions. For a lot of the time with most unsecured business term loans, you're going to expect to see, let me move this over. You're going to expect to see somewhere between 300K, 200K plus in revenue per year. And you're seeing around a 680, 700 plus credit score. Sometimes it can be less, okay, depending on the product, depending on that service and program. But more time in business is better. Sometimes you'll see less, which you're going to get about here with 3+ months. And there are ones where you're required to have at least 2+, 1+, but 2+ years in business is ideal. And a lot of people don't qualify for all of that. And you shouldn't be fed up between people telling you, hey, there's this alternative option where you can get a daily / weekly, sometimes bi-weekly. Those are still great options. They're not programs that you should look down upon. They're actually great ones. And like I said before, if you're going to take that amount and it's going to help you grow, expand, it's going to help you stay stable, you're going to, for example, use it for a restaurant example. If you're going to grow a patio set and you're going to bring in an extra 100 to 200 people per day, and that's going to increase your bottom line for another 30 to 50,000. So that's maybe that 20,000 you took and you had to pay back 30,000, 26 to 27,000, whatever that may be, even less, more or less. Does it make sense? In a way it does. So if you profited 30, okay, if your repayment is 26, maybe a 4,000, but if you made more, then you're like, okay, it's increasing, it's keeping me stable, I'm using it for what I need to. You don't get fed up about it. And that's just the reality. So over here, we have unsecured business term loans from 20,000 to 250K. And I made a separate video on Go Capital. Look for it down below in the description. I won't go into it thoroughly in this video, what it all entails, but just know that you can get from 2 to 10 years. And what are the qualifications for it? We lend in about 30 states. So that's quote unquote a catch, not really a catch. But there are restrictions and there's reasons why we do this and the qualifications, but you can see the states there. And again, that video down below will show you more on those alternative options. But most people want let me get a 3-year term. Let me get a 36 to 60 plus month type of loan. And even if your expectation isn't that high, you may want up to 24 months. I'll show you how that works. But you have to understand that your expectation might be, I want this kind of an interest rate or a total payback. I want at least 9 to 12 months, 9 to 15 months. And I know I won't get that 24th month after I spoke to Michael. If you spoke with me or multiple people who are trying to heckle you, and you're probably getting phone calls and emails every single time, I can help you justify all of that, and I can show you what's actually the best solution for you, not just trying to get you to take an advance or a loan for what need. I don't do that. But you have to understand that, look, if you had revenue dips, I've spoken with recent owners, and I do this all the time. They're like, well, I had an 80K month, and I'm doing around 40K, and I'm doing like 500K plus within the last 4 years. Yeah, but if you had like a 30K month, and then you had like a 20K month within the last 3 to 4 months, or however much we're looking at your revenue, your cash flow, the amount of deposits, the checks, the withdrawals, all of this information, then okay, we can't give you that 50K. We might even just give you half of it. So that's why you're getting approved for the 25K with a shorter term of like 6 months as opposed to what you wanted at 9 to 12 to 9 to 15 months, because you just don't qualify. And even if your revenue is high enough, if you have dips, if it fluctuates seasons, we get that. I know that. It happens to me. Then you got to take it for what it is at face value and not say, well, if I'm projecting to get another 80K. If I had this money, I'd get another 100K though. You know what my answer is going to be, right? It's kind of said it in the beginning. We got to look at the numbers and what's currently happening. We can see projections based off of that revenue, credit score, what's happening. But come on, we got to be realistic. So Go Capital is one of those solutions. Now let me bring another one into the screen here. And again, this content will be down below in the description. But I highly recommend one of my favorite companies that's been very useful and helpful to many is David Allen Capital. And for many of you, you guys have heard of it. You've seen me release video content on them. And they are an amazing company where you can get up to $2 million incredibly fast funding within a day to 2 of approval, within a day to 2 of funds deposited into your account, sometimes even in the same day, and even as much as a week, depending on your file and your needs and what we have to look through. If anything, we have to request more information. If so, but yeah, that's what you can do. You can get up to 2 million. We serve many, many different industries. You can even get up to 25,000 same day instant approval with their Bank Breezy program with as little as 5,000 plus monthly bank revenue. A business checking account with online banking set up. No if and or but about that. Listen, I'm going to move this over. If you've heard me say this, you need to have an online banking, have it set up, preferably. Have a business checking account, banking checking account, and don't try to be like, well, it's not underneath my business. I'm using a personal account under my business. That won't qualify for you. Please, this has got to look legitimate. When we're lending money, we don't want that going into some kind of a personal use, a personal account, even if it won't be used for that. You know that, but it just doesn't look legitimate and doesn't help you build any type of like business credit, anything like that. But those are solutions for you. Now let me come back onto the screen. DAC up to 2 million with just 6 months in business, and they even have their up to 2 million service if you qualify for that with just 4+ months. Your 450 plus FICO credit score, payment history earns you more. Receive funds time and time again. Add-on funds are available, and you get a personalized account manager. There are no hard credit inquiries. We do a soft pull, transparent terms, no collateral is required, no hard credit checks, right? And even get this, no interest rates. That's right. We calculate on total payback. These are generally 50% less expensive than all other cash advances and loans. So it could benefit you to take this amount. And I have a lot of people who do, and a lot of people who will still question it. Oh, you're telling me, and these are daily, sometimes weekly, sometimes even bi-weekly, but we don't always go there, type of payments, not monthly. This isn't what you'll see in this type of space with these types of cash advances, as opposed to a business term loan and cash advance is kind of similar. Cash advance is a little bit different. You operate underneath the same kind of type of guidelines and what you would expect to pay back for a loan, for a lump sum, etc. But there'll be more information on that down below in the description, so make sure you check that out. But generally 50% less expensive. And again, does the benefit exceed the repayment? If so, then you do it. And it makes sense to move forward with it. And daily and / weekly can be best for this situation. So you don't go into a default, but you're like, well, it's going to hurt my cash flow. I need emergency funds. I don't need them now. Well, if it's going to hurt your cash flow, of course it wouldn't make sense. If you're like having all these revenue dips or you're not making anything per month, don't you think it will? Obviously. I mean, like, it's not just to be hard on you guys, but it's like, stop saying that these are bad, because they're not bad. It's subjective to each person. A person who's doing like 50K consistently per month, and they know they're going to use the funding to, when they buy this equipment, they're going to be like making an extra 100K per month. Or if they're going to stay stable by using that amount for marketing, advertising, and other expenses, and whatever it may be, so be it. You can't always qualify for a business term loan, like I said, and you can't always qualify, and you can't always take what you're going to get with a business loan and use it for the best purpose. Doesn't always make sense. So you got to get out of your head about that. And I made video content on this specifically, so make sure you view that down below in the description. So all this content on David Allen Capital, Bank Breezy, Go Capital, and all your alternatives for business term loans. Oh, and also you can get a business line of credit through somebody like Go Capital. Let me quickly move over here just to show you what lines of credit can do. And if you're unsure what a line of credit is, it's very quickly where you can get not a lump sum like working capital, and you, let's say, get approved for 100K. We look through your information, your file, and you're eligible to get 100K. If you take it, you can get more or less, and you can. And you say, well, I only want to use 10,000 because I got to do some repair. I got to use it for an emergency fund, for some type of cash flow, some type of an expense, a marketing campaign, but I don't want to use it all. So you take that 10K and you only pay interest on that, and you pay it back in a shorter term, sometimes 4 to 6+ months, up to 12 months. Usually it's short term, but you pay it back. And once that's done, you can put it back into the account and it replenishes back to 100K. So it's not like you stay at 90K and then you drop down to an 80K, 70K every time you use it. But once you use it all, it gets put back into the account for a revolving line of credit that you can use again. And you can always request an increase. But again, these are also used for like working capital, similar to like a working to a lump sum, with like a business term loan, like a David Allen Capital company with the lump sum you can get for short term. But you don't have to use it all up at once. And they're great uses. Similarly, you can use it a lot. A lot of people use them for emergency funds, some type of cash flow reasons, etc. But again, you can only take a lump sum out, or you get approved for some. You can take a little bit out and use for as you want, for a seasonal thing, and then you can come back and use it again for those purposes. But it doesn't always make sense. So if you need a certain amount right now, then a working capital loan or an advance where you get a lump sum would be best, because you know you're going to use that amount that's going to be probably dispersed into other things, and I need it right away, and this is how it's got to work, or I need it for one big thing right here, then it makes sense to do that. So business lines of credit have their place, and there are other alternatives out there. So I've shown you more or less the types of routes. Let me make sure I covered them all, if not 7. So we went through the first ones that I went through, and we're going to go up here again. I'm looking at it on a different screen. So we went through these federal grants, state grants. We went through something like a grant program through SCIP. We have the business loans 4, and then 5, I'm going to categorize that as a line of credit. And then a cash advance with like David Allen Capital is 6. And then another option you can take on for number 7 can be like, you can take some type of a personal loan. Those are helpful too. And I'm going to have all these programs down below: alternatives, business lines of credit, working capital loans, why I recommend David Allen Capital, and all these other ones as well. So make sure to refer to that. But this is what I wanted to show you. So they have their business line of credit program right here, and this information will be down there so you can view full video and you can see all the information you need. But you get a business line of credit here, and what's expected, that'll be covered in the other one. And then you can do a personal loan. right? If you're looking at a startup business loan and a personal loan, those are other avenues. And then there's also equipment financing and leasing. So that could be number 8. So a personal loan you can take on. These are great for if you have a great experience score. So 680, preferably 700 plus with at least 5 trade lines. If you're not building business credit and you need help with that, look down below in the description. There's a free video series you can pick up to watch how to build business credit and what you should be doing, some free guides and material for you. So make sure to refer to that. But yeah, that's going to be really much everything to conclude in this video. Look for everything down below: startup, personal loans, business lines of credit, business term loans, cash advances, short versus long-term content, the grants, federal, state, the SKIP program, as well as many more out there. So that is going to conclude everything in this video. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to reach out to me. And if you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and do so and click that bell notification icon so you don't miss any future videos I'll be coming out with. Thank you.